Hello everyone and welcome to the Let's Talk Wrestling podcast, the wrestling podcast where we do review every segment of Raw and give you guys the wrestling news of the week. My name, if you guys are inquiring, if there is a question upon your lips and you're just waiting to speak it regarding what my name is Turbo Tony, and I'm here with Holla, if you hear me, Big Papa Pump, Matt Steiner. Right?
That's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. I forgot about the Big Papa Pump.
Big Papa Pump, the freak. That's it.
Yeah. So the worst part is, I'm like, just for some reason in my head, all I've had stuck in my head is you were going to give me like the Enzo Amore sort of like, and I am a certified G.
I don't think I'm quite that level yet, you know.
And a bona fide stud.
Oh dear. How are you this week, Matt?
Not too bad. Just getting over from the sort of like the bunged upness of the cold, but managing.
Tis the season, as we say.
Yeah, tis the season for gifts and infection.
Yay! It's the first episode of Let's Talk Wrestling for 2015. That sounds kind of weird. I don't know why, but it does. 2014 was a great year for us. Let's continue this train into 2015 and see exactly where that takes us. I would like to say welcome to the new batch of subscribers that we hit this week. Welcome to the show, and we've got a packed show for you there this week. We've got some wrestling news to talk about. We've got our fan feedback, a fail of the week, and an extremely lengthy Raw review because there's a lot of talking points coming out of Raw. So there's a lot of tough stuff to talk about on the show there this week, and we hope you guys do enjoy the show going forward. As always, if you want to leave us any questions and feedback, you can leave that in the comments section below, or you can send us a tweet at TalkWrestlePod, and that's the way to get hold of our Twitter handle.
That's it.
There we are. We can talk about funny pictures and the likes of that. Matt sent me a disturbing one of Paige eating 2 popsicles, but we won't go into that. That's I looked at that one the other day, and I'm kind of ashamed to show it to our non-wrestling friends. But it's not that. But I'm not. Oh my god, that makes me sound like such a perv. It's not that bad. Well, you know. Let's tiptoe out.
There are
of this.
people out there who will see it that bad.
Yeah. Hey, at least we're not giving the woman death threats, which apparently she's getting.
I couldn't believe that.
Yeah. Well, I think though that.
Poor Soraya.
Yeah, it's not great, but I mean, at the end, it's just when I say it's not great, and I'm like, what I say next makes me sound as if like, I don't want to brush it off, but unfortunately, it would be to be expected. Like this sort of shit happens from trolls on Twitter and all this crap, so it is a shame, but there we are, unfortunately. But as we said, we've got a packed show for you there, and so let's get into our news. This week, there's a couple of news stories. One that we'll talk about here because WWE made a glancing reference to the fact, but gave absolutely no, I'd state, respect to the man for ending his career, and that was Christian.
Yeah, I know. It's like, man, retired. Anything else? No, retired.
Yeah, Captain Charisma. Apparently, I mean, if he has hung up his boots prior to this week, then it wasn't made that well known. This was the week that literally just a passing reference was stated to the fact, and then they were just acting as if everyone had known all along that Christian had retired. But I'll tell you what, that was news to me.
Yeah, that was still fresh. I was just like, what?
Yeah.
Really?
Definitely. And like, you know, there was no video package or vignettes or in-ring, or even an in-ring segment with himself to state the fact that he was now giving up the ring. And this isn't a guy like, you know, with all respect to him, Corey Graves got more of a mention on his retirement than
NXT,
Christian did.
Than Christian got on Raw.
Yeah. And like, that's no offense to Corey Graves, but you can't stack the two in-ring careers together and say, well, actually, this guy deserves more of a mention. There's something wrong with that there, I think. And I guess in Christian, you know, he's still under contract with the company, and the reason they stated is getting too many concussions. in which case fair enough. But at least give this guy a video package, something.
A send off would be nice.
Yeah, just at least give him 5-10 minutes to say goodbye to the fans. And I know they probably didn't want to be a Debbie Downer this week, considering he was hosting the show. We'll make it next week then. Make it say, well, actually, I do need to retire. I had fun, and this is the way I do it. But nothing.
Oh, I'll tell you what though, damn WWE, because I was literally like, as the start of Raw, and it shows the Edge one from a couple of years ago. I was like, don't you do it again, you bastards!
Yeah. See, that was all. I don't expect him to get as much of a send off as Edge did. Like, Edge got inducted into the Hall of Fame. That was pretty much his send off, right? And that very heartfelt promo that he had coming out of WrestleMania. Because his last match was defending the title successfully against Del Rio at Mania. So, but it's still like, come on, this guy's had decades in the ring, decades.
That's it. I mean, they kept talking of they kept mentioning the people that sort of redefined tag team wrestling. Cool, then give him a fucking mention.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. If I were Christian, I'd feel a little bit gypped. But I guess it isn't the first time something like this has happened to Christian in his life. And you know what? It is a shame that maybe him being paired up with Edge, who was a bigger star and had more charisma than him, and was rightfully put in a position that Christian wasn't. Maybe it's damaging him a little bit here, but still, that's all. That's looking into it too deep, really. I think at the end of the day, it's still a shame that he didn't get any. It was just a passing reference that the man retired. You got to look. This is a former world heavyweight champion, guy who during the dying stages of SmackDown at least gave us a really great rivalry with that title with Randy Orton. And we stated here on the show before that we don't believe he would have been champion if Edge was in the ring, but he still was. You can't take that away from him, and he was a phenomenal in-ring talent.
Definitely, yeah.
I still remember him getting RKO'd on steel steps, jumping off the top rope.
Oh, beautiful that was.
That came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
So here we are, a little bit interesting.
Oh, just with the whole out of nowhere thing, and there was something I really forgot to mention. I don't know if you've seen it, Tony.
Okay, go on.
You might have done, because I did share it on my Facebook, but it's just like, bravo, Randy Orton. I take my hat off to you for letting that little kid RKO him.
Yes, with perfect form and grace, shall we say.
And hopefully that's the end of all these fucking out of nowhere videos.
Yeah. Well, I haven't seen many more prop up, so at least that's it, And as we know, he didn't come back on the show, but he was around on Raw and made an appearance after this week's Raw, so the guy's ready to come back.
Yeah.
They're just probably keeping him as a surprise for the Rumble. I'd say that's probably the best thing for him at this point. Kurt Angle has re-signed for TNA. We had stated before that he was vouching for a position in WWE. It was well known that he was
potentially,
he was. I believe, as far as we heard, the same sort of deal that he wanted was similar to Rob Van Dam when he came back into the company, which is work a little while here, 3 months on, 3 months off, sort of thing. Having a lot of time off, doing a bulk of work, and then coming away from it. But apparently, as far as we know, Triple H essentially didn't want him back. Just said, we don't want you. I know there's been animosity and some heat between Triple H and Angle in the past. And I honestly thought that there was a chance that Angle could go back. Now he hasn't come back now. I think that's the very last chance you'll ever have a Angle wrestling in WWE. He might come back for maybe an appearance when his in-ring career is over, and isn't that far away. But I think any chance of him having matches in WWE, that's done.
Yeah. I mean, there was. I've read somewhere there was sort of like, should he come to WWE, he'll just be like as an NXT coach.
Yeah. I think there's a space for Angle around there somewhere. The guy is good. There's no getting around it. Like, even on the mic, he's good. On in ring, there's very few that can match him when he was in his prime. He still go now. I mean, at least a little bit, considering the injuries that he's got.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the fact is that he wanted to go to WWE. They denied him for one reason or another, and he's gone back to TNA. And obviously, TNA is just the second best place to go. It's not as if he can go to somewhere like Ring of Honor and do work for them, because he ain't going to be wrestling as much. He needs a company that will adhere to him a little bit, and TNA is
Yeah.
more than happy to do that. They put him in like the authority role for a little while, and they see how that works. But one thing I will state here, it'll be interesting to see how Angle looks going into because there's been no new TNA episodes for a while because they're doing the relaunch, they're doing the reboot of TNA.
That's it.
I will catch the first episode back and relay it back here. I very much doubt I'll continue reading it. It's just a new coat of paint. That's what I have to say at the moment. Even if they do a great show, I'm not exactly going to overlook the fact that I watched 3 months of pretty bad television. Just going around that. But one thing I noticed when I was watching Angle the last few times, he looked checked out. He looked like he didn't want to be there. Did you notice that? You watched some of the ones where he was, the ones at the New York taping.
Don't pay me under the same thing. I literally watched one show, and I think the last one that I saw, he was the guest referee for Lashley and
Rude.
Rude, yeah.
It's just
other guy.
The other guy. Well, the one thing I thought about Angle is that the guy looked like he had checked out on TNA. He didn't look like he didn't care. That's my opinion. But you'll see how much it goes in. Maybe he's got it in his head. Okay, I'll put it to them. And he starts doing good work for them. But it came painfully aware. This was in a bad era for TNA anyway, where things were getting really bad and stagnant. He just looked like he just didn't care. He just looked like, well, you know what? I'm in his eyes. He probably thought there's a good chance I'm going to WWE. So, yeah. And that didn't pan out. So, I know he did re-sign a while ago. But this is TNA officially announcing it. Officially, those of people that have inked new deals and stuff like this, and the people that we knew would stay with them. It's not much of a shock. Okay, so fan feedback this week. Got a few interesting questions, more trivial questions, I would state, but we still enjoy them nonetheless. We have 2 this week here, Matt, and the first one is from Manrika. Blah. See, I've got that so good all the time, and I got because you're confident there. Manricky Tobacco 1, there you go. He asked if we are PC or console gamers. So, Matt, would you like to explain? Because I'm exactly the same as you.
We are both.
Yeah.
We are Xbox. We're essentially Microsoft gamers.
Yeah, yeah.
PC or Xbox.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we basically either whichever one we're feeling.
Yeah.
That we are gamers. We do a gaming podcast where we talk about a lot.
I think we mentioned that last week, which is where the question comes from.
Yeah, I think that's probably where it came from. But yeah, me and Matt have been gamers pretty much all our lives, really. So back in the days where you had to blow on cartridges to play your video games.
That's it.
That's the era that me and Matt hail from. But yeah, that's the answer to it. Xbox, PC. In terms of PlayStation, I love PlayStation. It's just Xbox is the one. You get to a point in your life where, with us as, being friends and we play with a lot of other people, that you just buy the same system that everyone else has got. And for us, that just ended up being Xbox. So that's the main reason why.
So yeah, it all end up that way.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want to be the odd one out, the only person with a PlayStation.
It's like, I've got the PlayStation.
Yeah.
Like, we're all playing.
Oh, yeah. It's quite sad. Quite sad when that happens. Our other question here is from Caleb Duckworth. He asks, who has the best beard in WWE? Now that's a question. It's a humdinger. What's your answer to that? The best beard?
Define what are the fundamental qualities of having the best beard?
Well, it's just down to what you think, Matt. Yeah.
I don't know. I think Harper's got quite a good beard on him.
Oh, he does.
Because it's that proper, just crazy, just ragged. It's a proper ragged mess.
Yeah. The one that has
after the whole. Daniel Bryan has a beard, but he has to keep it in check because otherwise Brie Bella won't like it. Sort of like, with Luke Harper, it's like I'm playing the character of a swamp. Of a man who lives in the swamp and doesn't give a shit about personal appearance. Really? 4-foot beard.
Yeah. That doesn't look like his beard doesn't look like it's been combed or brushed or anything in God knows how long.
That's it, yeah.
So you go with Luke Harper for his tremendous beard. I gotta go with Daniel Bryan. I have a beard. For people that obviously don't know what I look like, I have a beard. And, I take a bit of pride in making sure that it's at least at least style, not stylish, just the word for it. Well groomed, I think is probably the word for
Tended.
it. Tended, yeah, there you go. That's probably a good word for it. I think Bryan's got a good beard. You got to think that beard propelled him to the main event of Mania. So, well, not really, but you get what I mean. The whole beard thing. However, I have compiled a list of other magnificent beards in recent history. This is recent history. I'm sure there's a lot of great beards in,
Eric Rowan has quite a good beard.
Yeah. I would note other beards that you should look at. This is quite funny we're talking about this, but this was the question, so we'll talk about it. The Triple H porn handlebar he had for a while. Does anyone remember that?
Yeah.
Looked like he should be maybe involved in one of China's affairs, but let's not go into that too much, huh? The other one, CM Punk's Wolverine sideburns, they need to mention.
Or CM Punk's Second City Saint. The fucking time when he had the Straight Edge Society.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, he had quite a mighty beard.
He had a proper good Jesus beard going on.
Oh, he did, yeah. Yeah, fair enough. So you can go for that. The other one, I think, which isn't as notable, I just think it's funny because whenever I think of beard, in the wrestling video games, talking about video games on our previous question, is that they actually had to give this guy a separate skin where his beard was on, because apparently it was that popular. Randy Orton. Really?
For stubble?
Yeah, for the stubble he got for 1 year. Remember, he had that,
what?
But they gave him a separate skin in that game with the beard. I thought that was really important that you added that in there, guys. But apparently so. But there you are. Cool. Or maybe it was that he had the beard and they gave him the one without the beard. But come on, really, come on. Now, if you did that for Daniel Bryan, that would be different. That would be whoa. But no.
Then you'd be talking completely different eras of Daniel Bryan.
Yeah.
With or without the beard. Like we're talking, like Daniel Bryan pissing around for like the United States title sort of term.
Yeah, exactly.
For Orton, it's like, well, with or without beard, doesn't make a difference, still main event. What does it matter?
Yeah. One of the other most famous beards as well, obviously, will have to be Hulk Hogan. Everyone knows him for his look. He has a signature sort of get up there. So, that's our question about it. I think that's the most we'll ever talk about beards on this show. But it was bound to get asked for us at some point in time. So there you go. Best beards. Fail of the week. Now this is linking up to two different things. This is linking up to Kurt Angle that we talked about earlier on, and the $1 million Tough Enough season that was mentioned in the Raw review. So this is interesting here, linking it all up. I know you guys love the fail of the week. There was an incident that involved the $1 million Tough Enough. Do you remember the $1 million Tough Enough?
I do, yeah.
Yeah, it was a bit of a stinker in my opinion.
Little bit.
Yeah, it's not too great.
I think Al Snow did a good job though.
Oh yeah, it was alright, He's a guy who works with that role pretty well, so there is that. However, that being said, $1 million Tough Enough, which by the way was basically the whole $1 million part of it was nothing more than a marketing ploy. Realistically, it wasn't even a clean $1 million. It was a 4-year contract, $250,000 a year, and WWE had the option to cut you after the first year. So
if you did good, you could make $1 million.
Yeah. Which they were never going to do. Not that much money. You know what I mean? So, realistically, the winner didn't last after a year, so it really was the $250,000.
Well, who won that one? I can't even remember.
Well, here's where the fail comes in. Daniel Puder won it. You may not know who he is because he didn't stay around for much longer. And this incident is possibly one of the reasons why he did not stick around. One of the challenges, shall we say, they had them coming out to the ring. And one of the challenges involved the winner of their challenges having a shoot wrestle match with Kurt Angle. And Kurt Angle's in the ring. He beats the first guy comes towards him. Just beats him easy, gets him onto the ground, makes him tap out with I think it's like a headlock that you got him in or something along those lines. Using his Olympic amateur wrestling background.
That's it.
And then he says, "Okay, does anyone else want to come up and fight me?" So Puder, who is the winner who became the winner of the show afterwards, was like, "Okay, I'll do it." They wrestle, and Puder's like, "Well, if this is a shoot match, then I'm going to go shoot." Angle gets him down, but in the process of getting him down, gets himself in a Kimura lock. a legit UFC Kimura lock, right?
Yeah.
And you may be thinking, well, Brock Lesnar's used that and it's part of the story. Actually, if you get a proper Kimura lock put in, it will break your arm. There's no going around it. It will snap your arm. It's meant to break your arm. And he had Angle in it, and he was going to break Angle's arm. The issue with this is that Angle refused to tap out because obviously in his character, tapping out to a guy who wasn't even in the company yet. Angle's this top player.
Tapping out to a rookie
sort
of thing.
Yeah, it would have looked so bad on him. So there was no way he was going to tap. Was literally seconds away from having his arm broken. Puda said in a later interview that he would have broken Angle's arm. That was the challenge. If it came down to it, he would have broken his arm. And basically, Angle managed to roll him over onto one shoulder, and the referee quickly reacted to the situation. Thank God he did, otherwise Angle would have had his arm broken. And counted the three count while Puda's one shoulder was on the ground, just to say that Angle won. And then the hold was released, and Angle get up and say he won. So Angle, as you can imagine, was hugely pissed. But really, what can you do? I mean, they told him it was going to be a shoot wrestle match, and it's exactly what Puda did. I don't think that he was anything special, Puda. I'm not saying, oh, wow, I defend this guy to the high heavens, but it was a shoot match. And you put a guy there with a shoot match, he's going to do what he's going to do,
That's it. What you told him he would shoot? Fine, I'll shoot.
Yeah. This has got a little tinge of sadness for me, though, is that this was an unscripted segment. Right? And obviously something bad happened. It was a fail, right? They never expected that to happen. It could have got worse. It could have been an uber fail. Can you imagine if he had broken Angle's arm?
Yeah.
Within seconds of doing it as well. So the reason it is because, some stuff like this is probably half the reason why Vince armed himself with a legion of writers and now has to control every segment on the show. And me and Matt are clamouring each week for them to have more unscripted segments. Maybe stuff like this is the reason why Vince is less reluctant to do that nowadays,
Possibly. It does seem it would make sense.
Yeah. So to the referee who reacted and realised, holy shit, this ain't going good. We're gonna have one of our top stars get his arm broken in the middle of the ring, and he'll have to tap out because his arm will be broken. He, to the guy that reacted quickly, fair play to him, but I can imagine Angle blowing a gasket backstage in regards to that, but there we are. So Daniel Puda, he's not him who's the fail of the week, it's just the situation,
Yeah, it's a bit of crap.
But he obviously didn't piss off that many people. Vince wasn't that annoyed because he won the thing. But he just, obviously after that, he never went anywhere. He was in the Royal Rumble and got completely destroyed, and then he was sent to developmental and then fired, so there you are. That's the issue with it. You either had to be something extremely special to get paid that much and for them to really, really keep you on after that. But the whole thing was a marketing ploy anyway at that point. I very much doubt any of the guys involved in it, including Ryback, who stated he was involved in it, and he was.
That's it.
They really wanted to keep on. It was a marketing ploy, but there we are. I mean, Tough Enough doesn't have, apart from the first few seasons, Tough Enough doesn't have a great track record for keeping the guys on. You only have to look at the last season that they did. Big Andy.
Yeah.
Right?
Big Andy came out to did one promo.
Yeah, that's it. He got stunned when he got, what was it? I think the reason why, there was a lot of negativity to him is because he took a stunner, remember, on his, when he won the thing, but he no-sold the stunner. If you remember that? And apparently that pissed a lot of people off, and then he just got, from there. Come on, if you want people to take these things seriously, then you have to at least give your winner some time in the ring, but you've got nothing. Interesting fail of the week. If you actually want to watch that, then I imagine that you can either find out on YouTube, and I don't know if it's on the WWE Network, because we still don't have it. Vince, we're expecting an answer this month.
Come on, Vince.
You've got, what's the date today? The 3rd of January. You guys will be getting this on the 4th. The 3rd of January. So you've got less than a month to give us the network, or some decent news at least on the network, or there's going to be another angry tirade coming. So get ready for that.
Just remember, you guys are coming to the UK again soon.
Ooh, are we going to be there? This year we'll be there. I tell you what, I dread to think if the network isn't launched by the time April rolls around. Jesus.
It'd be dangerous.
Jesus
dangerous.
Christ. Now, I already know what we're going to put on our first T-shirt, so they make it too easy, don't they?
Fuck you, WWE.
Yeah, didn't it? Although we probably won't be let in with that, but there we are. Last Raw of 2014. This is our Raw review. You may be thinking, wow, you guys are quickly onto the Raw review. Well, the Raw review this week has plenty amount to talk about. There's a lot of talking points coming out of this week's Raw. And I will state that this Raw is one that you should definitely go out and watch. I think it was, regardless of whether you dislike some of their decisions or not, I think that there was a lot of interesting stuff to be seen on the show. I know we normally give our review of the show afterwards, but for better or for worse, or the way that we take it, I still think this is a show worth seeing. Sometimes you can get a bad show that's still worth watching because there's a lot of interesting stuff on it,
Oh, yeah.
The worst kind of Raws that can happen, and you'll be able to test this, Matt, we get a lot of them, unfortunately, are Raws that are neither bad or good, but they're just flat out boring.
Yeah, just meh.
Yeah. Boring for 3 hours is almost enough to get me to sleep. It really is. And I very much doubt that's what Vince is really gunning for. So, hosted by Edge and Christian this week. Another Raw on the road to Royal Rumble, and it's the last of 2014. Daniel Bryan had teased a retirement speech earlier in the night on Twitter, which had...
sort of like I'm at the crossroads. It's like, oh no, Daniel, say it ain't so.
Say it ain't so. I was worrying, I have to admit. Were you worrying, Matt, that he was going to retire?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's been a long time since the injury.
That's it. It's like it's been so long since I've been since I've been on the shelf, sort of thing, and they still have no answers. I have to retire. It wouldn't be out of realms of possibility.
Yeah. Well, with me, right, is that if it was a leg injury or an arm injury, I wouldn't worry so much. But the injury he had was involving his neck. That is very complicated, and that could lead to problems down the line. So that's what made me think more and more. We'll obviously advise, what happened later on the night. It came from Washington, D.C. as well. Whenever Washington, D.C. comes up, all I can think of is the really awful Capital Punishment pay-per-view they did a couple of years ago. Where R-Truth was in the main event. Do you remember that? Little Jimmy cost him the belt, damn it.
I do remember that. I have it on DVD.
Oh, what? Oh, no, I think you said this before. You got it with something else, didn't you? Please tell me you got it.
Someone got it for me.
Oh, damn, man!
I didn't get it. I didn't get it myself. Safe to say, it's still wrapped.
Obviously, by a non-wrestling fan. Got you that.
I'm a wrestling fan.
What?
Apparently, it was like the wrong DVD.
Oh, I don't even know how you can get that wrong.
I don't know.
I'm shaking my head. I feel sorry for you, Matt. I really do.
It just sits there on the shelf, mocking me. Remember when, Matt?
Yeah, just the fact that the next big match on that show was Alex Riley versus The Miz.
Yeah.
Whew! What a pay-per-view. There we go.
Ooh, what a humdinger.
Humdinger, yeah. Oh, dear. Okay, so Raw opens, and it has like you said, an awesome look back at Edge's retirement speech. It just kind of pointed out to me even further there that Christian did not get the same treatment.
Yeah.
Which is a shame. We've been there though, we've talked about that. Michael Cole, who, as I said, this year has been uncharacteristically sloppy under the three-man commentary format. He's made a lot of mistakes he doesn't often do before the last, I'd say, since after WrestleMania. He's been making a lot of small mistakes, but they're noticeable. I'm sure Botchamania is just eating them all up right now, right? And he starts one off here. He says, "This is the final Raw 2013." So, whoopsie, yeah. Just at the beginning of the show. So, it's just one thing. One of the things that you can say about Michael Cole, and I have mentioned this before, is that, sometimes his commentary can be a little bit uninspired. Sometimes he is he just plugs media stuff all day long and all these lot. One thing he has always been at very least reliable and accurate. He doesn't make very many mistakes, but just uncharacteristically, he's just been a little bit all over the place a little bit. And maybe that's what happens when you juggle half a dozen different plugs that you have to make within 3 hours, and trying to keep up with the JBL doing all his garbage on the right and King's bad jokes on the left. The fact is that I do think that Cole is the best announcer they've got in that three-man booth at the moment, and I didn't think definitely. I'd have to say that. Would you agree with that? Michael Cole is the best of three.
I think it's because Michael Cole's the only one I'd actually say is a commentator. Because apart from that, you just got, the authority, blah, 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 and, ooh, pretty woman make terrible joke.
Yeah. Yeah. The fact is, right, on their A day, JBL and King can blow Michael Cole out of the water. But when was the last time we saw King and JBL have an A game? When was the last time we thought, wow, their commentary was good?
Yeah, that's it. I can't recall it.
Yeah, exactly. At least Cole is, he has his bad weeks, but he's consistently mediocre at very least, and he does his job well. It's just, yeah, it's a bit of a shame, unfortunately. Especially when you hear the commentary on NXT be so much better. I know it's only over an hour or a 2-hour format, but at least they don't get that many mistakes, and even if they do, they tend to spin it around quite well,
Yeah.
But hey, maybe that's the reason why they're trying to get the likes of Renee Young back into those slots. I think that Renee Young, maybe. Then we always said that she's not ready yet, but if she continues to improve, then maybe it's time to slot someone new in that 3-man booth, because that 3-man booth just ain't working.
Yeah.
We once said before that having JBL on the show would improve it, and it did for a little while, but now it's gone.
And then it tanked completely.
He even made a reference on Twitter, and then later patched it up, stating that all announcers are essentially made the same. Since the days of Bobby Heenan, and Gorilla Monsoon. I vastly disagree.
Yeah, terribly disagree with that.
And if he thinks that he's on the same level as said people, he's not. That's just the way it is. And maybe the demands of an announcer...
Well, if he's all under the same thing, then that would make him as good as JR.
Yeah. I mean, the fact is, is that the commentary at the moment is poor, right? There's no getting around it. And part of that may have to go to the fact that there is more demands. Back in the day, JR, King back in his prime, Bobby Heenan, Gorilla Monsoon, even Vince, on commentary. Even Joey Styles for ECW. They didn't have to throw around half a dozen different sponsors, make track of all the different Twitter references,
do #main event. And all that stuff. Yeah,
that's a lot of stuff to keep track of. And I imagine it does make their job a lot harder, but that's still, you can't really give that as a defense for it being as bad as it is at the moment on commentary.
Yeah.
There's very easy ways to solve it. First of all, talk about the matches in the ring, and second of all, just get rid of the bad comedy, because it's cringeworthy at times from both JBL and from Lawler. They're both as bad as each other sometimes. And JBL being, was it a wireless table?
Yeah.
Bravo. Anyway, let's get into the Raw review. Edge and Christian open up the show, and I love the fact they brought Tony Chimmel back just to break his voice for the introduction of Edge.
Yeah.
The superstar. He really went for it, didn't he? For that. You know what? The cool thing about that is that when you get a smile from the introduction at the very beginning of the show, that's a really good thing to start off your show on. I was smiling at that. I imagine you were as well.
I did, yeah.
Yeah, some cheesy nostalgia for us to open up. Edge was sporting, I don't know if you noticed this, the
Sami Zayn t-shirt.
He was.
Of course I spotted it.
It's like the same time that we had CM Punk sporting a Cesaro t-shirt once on a media outlet. When they were doing like the WrestleMania stuff. I do like it when they promote other less pushed talent, shall we say?
Yeah.
You can't get much better than Sami Zayn at the moment in the NXT. Christian says the only way to end 2014 is E and C style. He announces a peep show, but Edge obviously says he wants it to be the cutting edge.
Like, come on, guys.
Yeah. So they compromise. Before Edge says that the peep show sounds like what perverts watched in the 1920s.
Yeah.
Let's go watch a peep show.
One would pay a nickel for a peep show.
I had to say, careful, Edge. That's good comedy there. Good comedy doesn't last good on this show because, they don't want you to be funnier than John Cena. So just be careful. Okay. Considering what happened at the end of the show, maybe that was a forewarning. Good comedy almost gets you killed, apparently, but there we are. They compromise with a cutting-edge peep show, which does sound like the other way of naming Edge's live sex acts a cutting edge peep show. But
Yeah.
that's best left to him and Lita. I think it's probably best. It's quite interesting actually to talk about, go and listen to podcasts with Lita and her talking about the live sex show and like the fact that Vince actually wanted her to be naked.
Yeah, like straight up full on nude.
And it's like, that wasn't, like, that wasn't that long ago. We're talking less than 10 years. And the fact is now, the very idea of them saying a naughty word is so taboo. It's, wow, things have changed a lot. You know, Vince, come on, whip the baps out for the public. And it's like, oh, no, we can't, be naughty.
Can't do anything like that nowadays.
Exactly, yeah. So they announced a few of the shows. They announced Rollins versus Reigns and Rusev versus Ziggler. And apparently Christian wants Rusev against Ziggler, both of them being naked, funny enough.
Yeah, that got a bit weird.
Yeah, either Christian isn't getting some. Just go out there and get laid, Christian. I think maybe that's on your mind a bit too much, you know. Maybe he should see his own peep show. Maybe that's the whole thing of it. They also state Daniel Bryan will also announce his future. They go for a 5-second pose because here on LTW we totally reek of awesomeness and we deserve that, and they are instead greeted by the WWE World Heavyweight Champion Brock Lesnar, who comes out. I will state right now that the very fact that we heard Vince McMahon state we only have Lesnar for a limited number of dates, and that's the way it should be.
So let's just send him out for nothing.
Yeah, this week was probably the one Raw where Lesnar might as well not have been there for the stuff that he did. He did nothing on this entire show. There was no point in Lesnar being there. And if his dates are that special, then at least book what he's going to do and make it special in advance. The fact there's been times, that the fact is, right, they could have easily taken this date, right, and worked it with him and said, okay, you've got a certain amount of appearances. Let's make this between this big period of time between you not defending the title. Remember, we had like three and a half months of him not defending the belt. Remember?
Yeah.
We're still in that 3.5 months of him not defending the belt. He will finally defend it at Royal Rumble against a man he's already defended against twice. But there we are. So
we're overthinking that.
Yeah, just a little bit. So why couldn't they have done that in the middle of him come out and maybe just decimate some person, say I'll defend my belt when I'm ready to, decimate someone who is not, maybe he's going to be taken off TV for a while. You could do it with Randy Orton. He was going to be taken off TV for a while anyway. Get him to come in, decimate him in the middle of the ring and says, if this is the best you got for me, I'll come back when you've got a proper challenger for me. That would have made him seem so badass. At least he would have referenced the fact he's not defending the belt. Job done. But now he's coming up here and he does nothing for the week, which is a massive shame, He's a special attraction. Do something special with your special attraction. Would you not agree with that?
I think I would book it that way, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, he's here. Are we going to have him stand in the corner of the ring?
Yeah.
Why?
And later on the night, he stood on the Titantron. Looking bored, by the way. But we'll go into that.
That's it. Oh, I stand over here. Okay.
Yeah, that's it. So, I think that Lesnar came out. He's obviously a big fan of the 5-second pose. He probably wanted to be involved. No, of course I'm joking. It would have broken his persona to come out like a crazed fan, with the two massive sombreros that Edge and Christian were missing, to do their pose with complete nostalgia. Heyman asks why two broken, retired wrestlers would want to stay in the ring with Brock Lesnar, and here we are. So this is the first time we've got to remember that they have referenced on the show, as far as I've heard, and we and I do all the notes for this, weeks and weeks and weeks, so I would have picked this up, that they referenced Christian as actually being retired. So this is the first I heard of him being retired. So nice to hear that from Brock Lesnar, from Paul Heyman. He continues saying that Lesnar wants to, here we go, this is odd, penetrate the virgin neck of someone newsworthy. Can you try and explain what the fuck that means?
I don't know, unless it's a brood dig.
Yeah. It sounds uncomfortable, if anything. I don't know what that means. Penetrate the virgin neck. That's either really kinky or I got no idea what's going on there. But
That's it.
hey,
I think it's Brood. It must be Brood reference.
or Lesnar is just into some really freaky shit, and I'm not going to call him up on that. He's a big dude; he can do what he likes.
That's it. Big man play his own games.
Yeah, that's it. If he's a big fan of necks, and do that. Sure.
Pretty sure Sable has quite a nice neck.
Yeah. I very much doubt that's the main thing he married her for, but let's not go into that, shall we?
The neck.
The neck, yeah. He continues forward. He says that the man that he wants to decimate is John Cena. If you say John Cena in an opening segment, he will appear.
That's it.
That's what happens. It's the recipe for summoning him. Just be in an opening segment, say the words John Cena, and just like magic, he's there. Which is funny considering at the end of the show, Rollins couldn't get him out for anything, but still. So you know how this works anyway. Basically, Cena comes down. They're looking like they're going to fight between Brock and Cena, and then Heyman. I'll get my words mixed up here. Cena tries to fight Heyman. This suckers in Brock to go for the AA, but Lesnar manages to duck out. And this is him walking away from the fight. I don't know. Personally, I don't have too much of an issue with him backing down here because he doesn't fight for free, which is what Heyman says. Doesn't.
I mean, the one thing I quite liked about this whole thing was it's like even with Cena, it's like I'm not actually going to go for you because I don't want you to sort of pussyfoot your way into Royal Rumble with an excuse. And I was like, I like that.
Yeah, well, the fact is, a lot of people are upset at the fact that this makes Lesnar look like he's a pussy, right? He just doesn't want any part of John Cena into it. I would argue that if they had done this without the SummerSlam beating, then possibly.
Yeah.
The fact is that Lesnar knows, and as a character, we as fans, we watched it. We know Lesnar can annihilate Cena.
He's capable of, yeah.
He's capable of it. It's all careful the way they book it, and I hope that at the actual match they don't book Lesnar as this guy who just doesn't want to get involved with John Cena. Hopefully they book Lesnar as a guy, as you said, doesn't fight for free, fights on his own merits when he's ready to fight, and he goes in there and acts like the big tough dude he did, back at SummerSlam.
So there's one thing that's been really confusing me about sort of Lesnar as champion.
Okay.
The rule, like you're champion, you have to take the belt with you.
Mm.
Does he have to take the belt with him?
I doubt it. Or probably Heyman.
It's like it's not like he's flying around with it. It's just sort of like it goes in the boot of his car.
It could be that case, the thing is, the main reason why you take the belt around with you is because you'd be making media appearances, and you'd have the belt alongside with you there. Look at the amount of time when CM Punk was champion, whenever he had a media appearance, you have the belt around him. Cena does the same thing when he's champion. Even The Rock, he had a few media appearances when he was champion. He would be pictured with the belt, for the very short time that he was champion.
Oh yeah, I know. I get. And also, it's that whole sort of, if I book it into luggage, what's the guarantee I'm going to have it on the other side?
Well, we all know that from Ziggler, don't we? So
yeah.
I very much doubt. I would feel sorry for the person that fucked around with Brock Lesnar's luggage, shall we say, but the fact is, Brock doesn't do those sort of media appearances, so it's not as, not as much of an issue. He can just leave it in his house, leave it in his fridge for a while, who cares, bring it when he needs to.
That's it.
It's funny that they made this brand new belt for him, and it's funny that we've barely seen the belt. It's quite funny in that sense.
Sort of forget what it looks like now.
Yeah, exactly. So here's the thing: we're gonna talk about Lesnar for a little bit now. Is that we all know, and I firmly believe Lesnar ain't sticking around until after Mania. I think he's going. Right? He's probably going back to UFC. That's what I think. Right?
Yeah.
That's what I believe. I think he wants to go back to UFC and right the wrongs of what happened there, because now he doesn't have his illnesses, which he had before. And, probably in his eyes, he's done everything he wanted to in terms of coming back to WWE. Even though it's an easy paycheck for him, but still. So, there's going to be a payoff. Who beats Lesnar for the title? Is it Cena at the Royal Rumble? Or is it someone who wins the Rumble and then beats Lesnar at Mania? And it looks more and more by people's perceptions that there's actually a very increased chance that Lesnar will beat him at the Royal Rumble, and Lesnar will have a different match at WrestleMania. Yeah. I think that's a horrible idea. I think you need to book Lesnar as a guy who decimates Cena at the Royal Rumble. Maybe not to the point of SummerSlam, maybe make it more of a even contest, but make it so it's at least a clean victory. right?
Yeah, but a definite win, like an unarguable tick in the win box, but not like, oh my god, he's just straight up murdered the guy.
Yeah. I still think there's a likeliness that Cena will win because, after all, we don't book WWE. Vince McMahon does, and we all know Vince's thoughts on Cena. So there is a
Cena, you suck my dick, and I give you that belt.
But the fact is that a lot of people are thinking. Some people that think that Brock there's absolutely no chance Cena's walking out of Royal Rumble with the belt. I'm sorry to say to you, there's a big chance John Cena will be walking out of Royal Rumble with the belt. A huge chance.
Yeah.
More than they would think. I don't think that should happen. I think you should have Lesnar beat him. Whoever's going to be your next big guy, make him win the Rumble, beat Lesnar. That's a huge payoff for him. Now that's already in the first 3-4 months of the year, the biggest 3 or 4 months of the year. Whoever it doesn't even matter. Even if they make Daniel Bryan the guy who wins the Rumble and beats Lesnar for the belt, so you get 2 payoffs, which I don't think they will do.
I mean, hell, they already pissed away the Taker's winning streak.
Yeah. But the fact is, Bryan's already had his payoff. I would argue him beating Brock for the belt at WrestleMania would be bigger than his payoff last year. Because of the way that Lesnar's been booked. Hopefully he doesn't get booked as a loser against Cena, but still. But that's the thought on it there. However, I would like to state that this segment was lengthy, it was long, and we all know my thoughts on matches, I get that, but I actually liked the segment. I did like it. I thought the back and forth, the chemistry between Edge and Christian was very entertaining to watch. It made it a much more bearable...
It might be because we've just been like, oh, I've missed this.
Yeah. But they were genuinely entertaining. Some of the comedy back and forth between the pair of them was good. Going around it. Like the Brock Cena stuff, yeah, you could have had that later. But they wanted it here, so fair enough. Which is odd considering there was no hook to a match or anything along those lines that they had later. So they could have had that later, but it was fine. I thought this is probably one of the better opening segments they've had in the last couple of months.
It's probably the last decent opening segment you'll get.
Oh, don't, Matt. That's so mean. You're true. You're right, but it's mean to say. Oh, there we go. So the first match of the night is Rusev against Ziggler. Title against title, not any titles on the line, but champion against champion.
Yeah.
And as soon as I saw this, you got... Let me look at the way... Sometimes I look at matches and you can tell it's got disqualification written all over it.
Yeah.
This had it. You've got a guy who hasn't been beaten by pinfall yet. And, because it's been so long they made such a thing about it, they're going to do it on a pay-per-view, right?
Oh, yeah.
You got a guy who's on a very big push at the moment. He just won the belt. He won at Survivor Series. He's on
Sole Survivor and all of that. Yeah.
Yeah. So he ain't gonna lose. Well, they could make him lose. He's more likely to lose that too. But it just smelled of a DQ finish to me. And
what do you know?
What do you know? Yeah, DQ finish. But I thought that the match, until the DQ, of course, I thought it was good. It kind of picks up the fact that these two, if they were to have a match against each other later down the line, they could probably give us some good wrestling there.
Yeah.
But Ziggler has that effect on a lot of people on the roster. So I've always said before, he's like the Ric Flair of the new age. He can have a match with a broomstick and still sell for all of us. Bouncing around that ring. So basically, the reason why Rusev gets DQ'd, he refused to stop using the ropes to stomp Ziggler. For the 5 count, so he just gets DQ'd. After the match, Ziggler is locked in the Accolade through the ropes, which looks a bit beasty.
Yeah, they look quite savage.
Yeah, and Ziggler's just completely destroyed, beaten up, and Ryback comes down for the save, and that clears Rusev out of the ring. I kind of forgot for a little while, I must admit, that these two are actually in a feud. I know they've done some stuff with them already, so it's not, we had Ryback coming in with a bow last week, but...
Yeah.
But I did forget for a moment that they were genuinely feuding. But obviously they are, and they will have a match, probably at the Royal Rumble. And I do expect both men to be in the Royal Rumble as well, which makes sense.
Yeah, that's true.
However, here we go. When I said there was interesting bits on this show, I point back to what I stated last week. I went through and I explained why I believe that Dean Ambrose and Bray Wyatt isn't working. And I know you rather enjoyed that part of the show last week, Matt.
I did, yeah.
Explaining, the emphasis on character development and personalities, history, a set of end goals, and a set of morals, and all that sort of stuff.
Yep, all that lovely stuff that we need.
Yeah, exactly. That if Vince wants it to be an entertainment company, if he wants it to be they make movies each week. If they want that to be the case, then they need to start writing proper characters, at very least.
If that's the case, they need a better script.
Yeah, exactly. So, this is one thing that I praise them for doing, and I'm very shocked that people disliked this, right? So after the break, Ryback is in there, and you can tell from the very off chance that he's cutting a very organic and free promo. Now, he obviously might have been scripted, but you can tell it was something that he wasn't reciting lines. These were things that were true to him, right? And he talks a lot about his past. He talks a lot about how he got into wrestling, that he was a guest bell ringer at the age of 12. And, after seeing that at such a young age and being wowed by by everything to do with wrestling, as all of us were at kids, he wanted to be a wrestler since then. There's no kid that watches that and thinks, I want to be an announcer. Every one of them, like even Justin Roberts says, when he first got into wrestling, he wants to be a wrestler, No kid watches wrestling and is like, oh, okay, it'd be really interesting.
I want to be a referee.
They want to be the guy in there, So he reminds everyone of his road to WWE. He does talk about Tough Enough 2004, the $1 million, Tough Enough. And he looks extremely young then, as you know. He's still tanked, but quite young.
Not as tanked.
Not as tanked, yeah. And he talks about sinking into depression, that he found a really hard time in his life, that he found a book that someone gave to him that kind of gave him an avenue to find positivity and finally made his way back into WWE via the developmental, which eventually...
The thing is, I will say this now.
Go on.
This is, for those who have heard, Jericho recently had Ryback on the show.
Yeah.
This is almost word for word his story. Do you know who gave him that book?
Go on.
Gallows.
Oh, really? Oh, wow, that's interesting, isn't it? Yeah, that's one of the things that people are saying about this. Oh, we've heard this all before on the podcast. We're wrestling podcasters, and I don't listen to all podcasts that go up, right? There's a lot of wrestling podcasters out there now, right? And, some of them I don't even like in terms of their podcasting style, even though I might like them. Like Goldberg, I don't listen to his show, right? Or Roddy Piper, I don't listen to his show. I didn't the fact is that a very small minority of people would have listened to that podcast. So just because it's been done on a podcast that gets listened to, it's still a healthy amount of people, but definitely not the 4 million people that watch Raw.
It's a podcast that's on. It was Jericho's one. They don't push Jericho's; they push Austin's.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. You're not even even if they had stated the week before, okay, Ryback's on Jericho's podcast, right? Even if they had done it, which they didn't, you can guarantee the 4 million people that watch Raw each week aren't going to go listen to that podcast. Is that a reason for them not to do this Ryback promo?
No.
They should definitely do it. There's absolutely... I don't have an issue with them doing it. So yeah, he comes back in via the Nexus. Matt has a Nexus hoodie, so...
Yeah,
which you do enjoy. In fact, the very first song that my daughter learned to dance to was the Nexus theme song, so there you go. He shows a massive leg scar of his injuries. I've never actually noticed this before, about, literally from his knee downwards, just a massive scar.
Yeah, the whole run of it.
Yeah, the Matt can attest that I don't have as gnarly of a scar, but I have a similar scar going down my leg in similar fashion.
Almost the same place, yeah.
Almost the same place, yeah. He says that he was told he would never return to wrestling, but he finally managed to get back as Ryback. And then they showed a video package of him, which is, a very good video package. One of the things that I don't think I've ever said bad about WWE, is that whoever makes their video packages and vignettes always gets them nailed on.
Yeah,
the production. That's something that TNA, Ring of Honor, even New Japan won't be able to beat WWE on. Their video segments are fantastic. There's no beating them. I don't see anyone close. TNA. Sometimes when you see TNA do something like this, it looks like WWE's looks like a full-on $80 million movie. That they do, and then you've got the B movie made with $100,000, and that's what TNA's looks like. It looks like it's farmed in someone's shed at times. In fact, they did do it in a shed, which involved Willow beating up EC3 with an umbrella. So there you go. Back in those dark days. But so yeah, it was a great video package for him. I was almost convinced that they had lost ideas and maybe even interest in rebuilding Ryback back up. After this, I'm actually a little bit more into, wow, they actually are going to give this guy at least a little bit of time. He says finally that, with Rusev, it's not a USA versus Russia thing. It's a big guy beating up another big guy thing. He'll take all the negativity, eat it up, and he'll beat Rusev. And I thought, well done. I was interested in all of this that he had to say. It gave some genuine background to the fans about who this kind of person Ryback is, about his history and the sort of thing that drives him forward. And it made people, the crowd weren't chanting or cheering. It's not the sort of promo that you have, that sort of thing. He was explaining what it is. But there was good fan responses when he was explaining how he managed to beat depression and stuff like that. There was people applauding him. I think this did great.
The shock, there was that gasp. There was like a proper gasp of shock when they showed like his leg scar.
Yeah. I honestly thought this was fantastic. If you want people to get behind the Ryback bandwagon, it's all well and good people chanting "Feed me more." Now they can chant "Feed me more" and think, I genuinely want to get behind this guy. I want to.
Now
see
I know
him
what
succeed.
it means.
Yeah, he's explained his story to me. Some of it makes sense. No, he doesn't really have much of a reason to go against Rusev, apart from obviously beating him would be good for his career. But I thought this was good, and the fact is, whoever booked this, whoever came up with the idea to give Ryback a good 5 minutes to explain his history, needs to be given more time. I would love if they did this for more other people. All the characters they have on the roster that we just don't know, we just don't understand. What are their their aspirations, what are their end goals, what are their morals, what do they stand for? It seems like the only person that really gets that is John Cena with his hustle, loyalty, respect. And really, what does that mean? All the times he says hustle, loyalty, respect, it's little more than a catchphrase at this point, It's not really much of his character. I know we get, but still. So, yeah, I enjoyed this. I don't know about you, Matt, but I
liked it.
I thought this was one of the better segments on the show. I really enjoyed the way they did this.
And I can't understand. This is coming from a guy who has heard the podcast, and it's like, I'm not going to gripe about it. I'm just like, this, like I heard this on the podcast, and it's not like I'm going to go, oh, I've heard it all before. It's like, this is actually really good of them.
Yeah.
To sort of go, yeah, actually, go out and tell it.
Now, it's commentary, the ball now falls in commentary's court to keep reminding people of the journey this man had. And, maybe if he does get attacked on his leg, or sometimes, good calling of a match is saying, well, actually, last week, remember, he said he had damage on his leg, and, Rusev's going for that now. That's good commentary. I hope that they do stuff like that. Or state, how big of a thing, back when Ryback was 12 as a bell ringer, did he think he'd be here fighting Rusev, trying to beat him? This is where the ball goes into commentary. Ryback's done his work and he did it great. It's now commentary that needs to pick up the rest of it to get that character over. And in tandem, stuff like this and commentary could be a really great mix. It's just often they don't mix. It's more important to plug Twitter, apparently, than give the characters some background and talk about the matches and stuff. But I think we've beaten that horse to death. We've talked about that so much. Natalya versus Nikki Bella. I would like to state,
I forgot about this match.
Yeah. As soon as I saw this match, I watched an episode of Total Divas, with the wife, because she's going through all of them. For the podcast, we're actually going to do an episode where we talk about Total Divas and the reasons why I fucking hate it and the reasons why she likes it, for the demographic it goes for. But, so I watched it, right? The highlights of the match that they show on Total Divas were longer than the match we had today on this show. Yeah. And they only show small clippets, literally just maybe a pinfall, maybe one slam, maybe a tag. They only show, exceptionally small, because obviously it's not about the matches, it's just about the women going through their personal lives.
Yeah.
This match was over probably quicker than those highlights probably would have been. I'm sure I've seen highlights of a Total Divas match that they showed, the highlights of said match, which were longer than this. And like, honestly, they could show this entire match on a Total Divas episode, and they wouldn't have to cut it up. It was over that soon. And you look at it. It was
shocking.
It's Natalya against Nikki Bella. these are two girls that can have it. We said last week, we praised Natalia and Brie for having a good match. Why couldn't you have had a good match here? You know, you had time, you could have done it. They played the card of Tyson catching Nikki in the middle of the match, and literally as soon as that little thing was over, a rack attack later, and literally it's done.
Yeah, finished. Oh.
Yeah. You know something's wrong when the entrance and exits of the match are longer than the match itself. And I don't even think that Vince could even argue. You know, we know Vince, doesn't really care about the matches anymore. He's made that very well documented. You know, it's sports entertainment. It's not wrestling, right? He was very adamant on that fact. So I doubt he's going to lose any sleep at the length of this match. But come on, you at very least got to give us something. Nothing is nothing. Something is better than nothing, you know. This was a nothing match, and this is the very epitome of a nothing match, unfortunately. Yeah. And it will build to some sort of rivalry. Maybe Natalia maybe gets another title shot. I don't know why, though. She got comprehensively beaten within a minute. So.
Yeah, but that might be enough.
Yeah, apparently. Backstage, Naomi is ecstatic with The Miz. She got a Hollywood meeting with one of his agents, although he looks a bit shocked at that. She wishes him good luck for his tag team match. And whenever I say tag team match, it just reminds me of Teddy Long.
Tag team match.
There's actually one of our friends that doesn't watch wrestling, but watched one episode with me, and this is years ago now. And it had Teddy Long in it saying tag team match. To this day, he says tag team match to me. He doesn't even know what it means, really. He just says it to me because he finds it hilarious. Teddy Long is timeless, even to non-wrestling fans.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. It would surprise you as well. It's Morgan who does it. Yeah. Sorry. Our fans have absolutely no clue. Yeah. There's a person, basically, one of our friends just has no time for wrestling, and that's who we're talking about, but still. So I do believe that the Naomi factor will play heavily in future storylines with the Usos going forward. It looks like that she's pretty much going to be permanently paired up with them, and I said that's fair enough, that's fine. And I'd much rather see her on our weekly wrestling show. Sorry, Vince. Weekly sports entertainment show than Total Divas, because I want to see this woman wrestling, and I don't think anyone could blame us for that, because she's very well. She's talented, you know.
Yeah,
anyway.
She's better than the rest of them.
She is. Some of the stuff she can do, no one else in there can do. So this leads to the Usos against Miz and Mizdow. My. This was a bad week for Miz and Mizdow. This is for the tag team titles. And I thought this match was great. I thought this was really good.
Oh, this was such a good match, to be fair. I was like, as it began, I was like, nah, it's going to be like the same old. And then at the end, we had like a proper near falls and everything. And I was like, oh my God!
Yeah.
Like, by the time you hit the near falls, then it was done. I was like, oh.
Yeah. The one thing I liked about this match is that sometimes one criticism that can be levied toward Usos is that they're too formulaic. You know what you're going to get. You get some quick action, you get dives over the ropes, and then suddenly it goes a bit bonkers at the end. You get super kicks and all that lot.
Yeah.
For at very least the first half of this match, it didn't follow the usual. It was actually quite a slow match in by their regards, but it was still very good. As you say there, Matt, it ends with a double super kick spot, and then the Usos win the belts for the second time. Pretty much cementing the fact that we were quite right to give them tag team of the year. They end the year as the champions. And maybe they don't have enough spot on the Royal Rumble. They thought this is the best time leading up to it to actually do that match. I'm okay with that. The Royal Rumble will take up a lot of time, and they've got a lot of other matches already slated in, for that show, so that's okay. Naomi comes out to celebrate, and then they apparently set it up that they had played Miz all along. All along, Miz! It was her all along. Son of a bitch. I don't know where this is going to lead now. Maybe this is going to be the end of them, considering what happened later on. End of the rivalry between them. They're going to have a rematch for the tag team belts, obviously. But maybe the end of Usos versus Miz and Mizdow, which I thought would at least go on for a while. And I honestly thought they might have Naomi cost, the Usos the chance but inadvertently, just being there maybe to show support, and she gets it wrong. WWE have done that so often, but maybe they're going in a different direction. I was
trying to help. You got it all completely wrong. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
that sort of thing.
Yeah. No, I'm okay with them going in a different direction as long as they book it right. Obviously,
that's it.
You know, that's the way it is. They show a video package for Reigns versus Rollins. And as I said before, their video production guys, I mean, the video package itself was good enough to be a prelude to a pay-per-view match. It was that good.
Yeah.
It was fine. And another big praise for their video production guys. Here we go. Right, so for all the great character progression that Ryback had earlier on in the show, and I loved it. I'm not putting over how much I really did like that segment and the way it was done.
Yeah.
We get something that could have been similar with Cesaro, but went the other way and took a nosedive, right? Very quickly. And this whole segment involving him, and the match as well, unfortunately with the guy he was with, tanked pretty fucking hard. So, Cesaro has a mic in the ring, he's sitting down, and we're like, okay, they're going to give him some mic time. Odd. And then he tries to cut a promo that talks about him being misused by management, all the things that we've said on this podcast. You know, that last year, the 2014, he was the worst booked wrestler of the year that we gave him. You know, that we gave him that award, right? And rightly so. I don't think anyone else can really get that, right? And he says a lot about that. He says, apparently he can't connect with the audience, but he doesn't care about connecting with the audience. And then he makes a line here where I thought he was going okay. I thought he was going, and I was ready to listen to what he had to say. But you can tell that he kind of fluffed his lines a bit. He said, in this ring, no one can hold a candle to me. And he got a cheer for that, fair enough. And then he said, I'm the best man between these four ropes.
Yeah. Suddenly everyone in the crowd's like, there's three!
Yeah.
The four sides.
Yeah, four sides, yeah. Now, it wasn't a great promo. It wasn't good, right? And I want it to be good. So I'm more biased to the fact I would give it good. You know, if I thought it had any inkling of being good, you know, but it wasn't. You know, there's no way of getting around it. But the fact is, maybe it wasn't good because really Cesaro knew that this wasn't meant to get him any time. Really, this was done to reintroduce Bad News Barrett, who made his return, which I'm happy with, of course.
Of course.
So Barrett returns, which is good because he's been gone for. How long has he been gone for?
Jeez, must be about 5 months.
Yeah, he's suffered quite a bit. You know, the worst thing for Barrett is that whenever it looks like he's going to get to that next level in his career, he gets injured. And more often than not, it's by means that he can't control. I remember he was slated to win Money in the Bank, and then the Big Show threw someone on him and he broke his arm. Do you remember that?
Yep.
And then I think he was slated to, at very least, get to another high-profile feud as Bad News Barrett, and then he got injured again, and he wasn't around, so it's a bit of a shock. A bit of a shame, sorry, that happens to him. Some people are just unlucky with that. So, and then the match that they have was uncomfortable because the crowd were dead.
Yeah.
Not a single chant. You could essentially hear the guys breathing in the middle of the ring. It was that quiet.
I mean, it's a good thing these guys are actually like good enough to not have to communicate so loudly.
Oh yeah, imagine that. Imagine if they were like Big Show John Cena style in terms of communicating in the ring. You would have heard everything they were saying. And it is bad because, you know, at very least with Cesaro, right? You can admit it because everyone thinks he's a loser now. That's why he's been booked, right? And I think Cesaro's done with WWE. I think they've given up on him, but still. At least with Bad News Barrett, it was his big return. You know, this is a guy who got cheered huge, you know, not just in the UK, but also in the
Everywhere.
US. Yeah. So it was a bit of a shock he didn't get at least somewhat of a good response. Maybe they were hoping for a continuation of Cesaro's promo, or maybe they were burnt out from the Miz stuff, you know, them losing the belts.
That's it.
And that really good match. But this... I mean, I thought that these guys deserved a little bit more by the crowd because they were at very least giving them an okay match, and it is Barrett returning after all this time, but they got nothing. They really did. It was like I said, the best word I could say for it was uncomfortable.
Yeah, I sort of really struggled with this match.
Yeah, Barrett gets the victory anyway, and the future, I think, it still looks good for Barrett. Right, I think he's going to come back. I think they'll get behind him. I think that management likes the Bad News Barrett gimmick. I think they do. And, you know, it works when he's in the ring. And I think he's going to be going more face this time, I think.
Yeah.
But this has been a horrible year for Cesaro. It's the end of 2014, and the first 4 months of his rise, of him having that Elimination Chamber match, him winning the Andre the Giant Memorial, getting paired up with Heyman at the very beginning, does not overlook the fact that he has gone so far backward overall. It kind of makes it worse.
Terribly so.
If he had a mediocre year, the way he was going with the Real Americans, he would be in a much better place now. A much better place.
Yeah.
But he's gone so far down. It's such a shame. I think he's done. I don't think WWE are ever going to book him the way that he deserves to be booked. And he's going to either be one of these guys that just dwindles in not even the mid card, the lower card at this rate, you know.
He's in a tag team now, isn't he?
Well, yeah, you know, just they got no plans for him. They're just going to keep him out there, do quick matches. Or he decides, you know what, I'm looking at the likes of Del Rio and CM Punk getting plenty of money outside WWE. I'm going to apply my trade elsewhere. That's how I think it goes. Now, I think it's done. What do you think, Mrs. R? Do you think there's any way this guy can come back from this?
I can't think of it.
Yeah. I mean, realistically, obviously there is a way that they could do it, but realistically, can you see them giving him that much time and effort?
No.
They don't give anyone that much time and effort. It's a shame. Real awful thing to think of.
It's that terrible thing. It's just like with WWE, it's just like, we gave you the chance, you ruined it. Well, that didn't work. Try something else. Nah,
we'll just keep you going with what you've got. And I still state to this day, WWE, they did it to themselves, right? Cesaro was over, right? There's no getting around it. The guy was over, right?
Oh, yeah.
He was part of that Real Americans, the entrance coming out, him doing the swing, the Superman, doing the
that deadlift superplex.
Deadlift superplex, you know, calling him the Swiss Superman, the King of Swing. That was all working. That was all fine. And then they just decided, okay, you know what we'll do? We'll take all this stuff away because we want him to be a heel. We'll give him an entrance theme that is absolutely crap, and it's still one of the worst themes they have in the company at the moment.
Yeah.
And they wonder why. Oh, why? Why is he not working now? Well, you took everything away from him that did work. How is he supposed to make it work when everything he does that worked, you've taken away from him? And they've done this to a few people, but I think Cesaro is the biggest example of that. That things are working, just don't fix it if it's not broken.
If it's not broke, don't fix. Yeah,
exactly. Anyway, backstage promo with Luke Harper. He talks some garbled stuff about him being a social pariah, and then tells everyone to have sweet dreams while looking deep into all our souls. He looks into the camera with his eyes. I will have dreams, Luke Harper, but they won't be sweet. I can imagine, they won't be...
They're terrified.
Yeah, exactly. He could be pretty damn scary, can we say, Luke Harper. He's nowhere near as close as Wyatt, though, on the mic yet. Too hokey for my liking, but hopefully that'll get a little bit better.
Yeah.
Talking of hokey, the third Ascension promo.
Yep.
Are you ready to ride the lightning mat? No, I'm guessing no. They did debut in the night, and we'll talk about that then, but impressed is not a word you will hear much in regards to them going forward. All these promos they've done are all done in the same way. They're just as hokey as all the rest of them. And you look back then of all the times we even put over our own thoughts about how to book the Ascension, didn't we?
Yeah,
I said that you should do it with, make a vignette of, them looking as if, they're fresh out of battle, they're in a rest, they're actually in a ring, right? You could set it out in like outside in a wilderness looking area, right? And they're looking like they've been in the wars.
Desert or something.
Yeah, and you don't see it yet because the camera's fixed upwards. But as they do their little promo, whatever you want them to do, and so you peel it back and upwards, and you see all these guys just beaten up by the Ascension, just tons of them. Almost like I said, Walking Dead style a little bit. Just without the zombie factor.
It's Walking Dead, Mad Max sort of.
Yeah. And then you wanted them to debut and just decimate, outright, uncomfortably decimate
even
someone.
if just sort of like keep the vignette, keep your vignette idea, sort of just like the whole, like if they're coming sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then just when they actually arrive, just like, you're champions. You've been very good champions and solid and all things like that, but you're nothing.
Yeah.
Bam!
Yeah. We're the Ascension, and we don't play by your rules. We're going to take you out. And it doesn't even matter. You don't even have to have them go instantly into a title feud. But you could that would be them putting the rest of the division on alert. We'll just go through you. That's the way we'll do it. That's how I would book them. They certainly haven't been booked that way. I can tell you that much. But we'll go into that as well. Jack Swagger versus Luke Harper. If the first hour of this show was entertaining and interesting and had great matches and interesting segments, the second hour definitely wasn't. Yeah. That was most unfortunate. The fans were burnt out. You could tell, especially from the Bad News Barrett and Cesaro stuff, that they just, at that point, didn't look like they had much to them at that point. And this is another part that they didn't have much to them either. And it was a bit of a mindless match. I mean, matches like this, when they don't really have much of a reason, will do very little to engage them, get the fans back into the show. Yeah. Harper gets the win anyway. I'm hoping they have plans for him, and obviously he's still getting wins. So there's that at very least. They're still booking him over people, but I hope they have a plan. I hope he has a very solid Royal Rumble showing and eliminates quite a few people. If you've got the plan is for Roman Reigns to win the Rumble, why not have Luke Harper be what Roman Reigns was last year and just eliminate a lot of people? Be a monster in there. Be your new Kane.
That's it.
In that sense. Be good for him. It doesn't even have to be the last four. He could just eliminate a lot of people and have commentary sell it and say, wow, this guy's on form. He's not taking any prisoners. Is Luke Harper going to win this? And then, maybe you get one of your guys that is going to win it. Toss him out before the end of it,
Yeah.
That's how I would book him anyway. You don't have to have a plan with him to do that, but it still look good on him. Look at for Roman Reigns. I know he was one of the last two last year, and then Batista tossed him out and I got booed for it. But just having that performance was really good for Reigns at that part in that time of his career, and it helped him build up. So Edge and Christian and Cena are backstage trading stories.
Oh yeah, I love this bit.
Yeah, entertaining stories about them fighting each other and all the different things they've done in their rivalry and
slapping around Cena's dad.
Yeah, which he does get beaten up by quite a few people. I imagine it's quite funny considering Cena just brushes that off, and yet he wants to kill Randy Orton for doing that to his father.
Yeah.
Cena then places his tongue on Edge and Christian's butthole. Yes, our classic saying. Feels good to say that every now and then. And then he thanks them for their service and offers their respects. It's more than WWE did for Christian, at least. So there is that. This all sets up the angle later on in the night. Quite a controversial angle at that as well. Then this brings up Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins. Big Show's on commentary here, and I thought Big Show, he did one good thing on commentary, and he did not give JBL, Cole, and Lawler much time to speak. He was dominating commentary, and he was actually okay. I thought he was alright.
He was fine with that.
Yeah. Maybe part of me thinks when I was listening to this, because you could tell he was trying, and he was okay, that maybe this was an opportunity to try and sell his verbal skills to management about possible announcing work, maybe when his career ends, in-ring career ends. What does he do after that? Well, obviously the guy can at least talk on a mic. Hey, it'd be something different. I'd be willing to give the guy a shot, stick him on SmackDown for a little while if that's after his career ended. If that's something he wants to do, yeah, you can at least give it a try. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. At least it's not on Raw, and then if it does work, put him on Raw. It's the way it goes.
That's it.
The match is quite lengthy. I didn't like the match, I have to admit. I thought it was very slow paced, and at the time where you think it should be gaining traction, it didn't.
I struggled with this match as well.
Yeah. The last few minutes were okay. We picked up from there on out, but there was a lot. It was just a lengthy match, and I wasn't that into it. I have to agree. Which some people use as an indictment on Reigns because Rollins been having stellar matches with a lot of people. But you've got to think about it. Reigns has been gone for a long time, and he's given him a little bit. Everyone's looking for an opportunity to hate the guy at the moment. I think it's very unfair. He's only just come back from an injury. Just give him a bit of time, guys. I know he's... And the fact is as well, no one expects Roman Reigns to be doing 5-star matches at this point. No one ever thought that this guy should be doing it at this point. John Cena certainly wasn't, at this stage of his career. So, I don't know, the fact is that we shouldn't use that as an excuse, but still, give him a bit of time at least. You'll get there. He'll get there. Big Show comes in and gets the DQ. He throws literally flings him.
Yep, by the scruff of the vest. Off you go.
Yeah, just absolutely throws him out. He's got a future as a bouncer if he hasn't got one as an announcer. Oh, Jesus Christ, he can throw anyone out. And then tips it over him. They were selling this, that Cole was adamant that Reigns' leg was seriously damaged. He was like, oh my goodness, did you see his leg get trampled by it? It didn't look that bad.
He was stuck under there.
Yeah, it didn't look that bad, but there we are. Considering how easily those tables break, I'm not actually that worried about him being trapped. But they were selling it as that anyway. I know on SmackDown, Reigns returned the favour on Big Show, so...
Can't have been that bad.
Yeah. I could see Reigns eliminating Big Show at the Royal Rumble. That's how I see it going.
Yeah.
Backstage, Rollins is praising Big Show for his work. He says he'll toast the new year and invites Cena out later for the cutting edge segment. So he's all excited. He seems all happy. Yeah.
That's it. All cheers.
All cheers. All happy. They also announced that next week Ambrose and Wyatt will face each other in an ambulance match. I will go back to what we said last week. Why? Why are they going to fight?
Because it's the first time on Raw that it's ever been done.
I don't think that's enough.
Shut up. WWE said that's why we're having it.
Shut up and like it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Accept my decisions.
Yeah. The fact is, right, I won't be able to explain it any better than I did last week. You know, if you think about what I said last week, if you didn't catch it, go and watch the last 20 minutes of last week's podcast. I explained the reasons why I believe, to myself, and Matt agreed with me on it, that this feud doesn't work. They need a reason. They need an end goal. They need character. That's what they need. Yeah, they need a purpose, right? What purpose do they have for doing this? Why had a promo after this stating, oh, this is where their journey will end, and you won't be able to resuscitate Ambrose because he's already dead. Wyatt has his soul.
Oh, you have his soul.
Yeah. But why? Okay. Why do you want his soul, Wyatt? Tell me. Why do you want to fight him? What will you get out of fighting him?
That's it. I mean, we understand the whole. Oh, when I look at you, I see a reflection of myself, all deranged and stuff. That's fine. We got that. But I still don't understand why this is going on.
Yeah, and got on to this barbaric lengths. I know
that's it.
You know, these guys have killed each other, but why have they killed each other?
It's New Year, we need gimmick matches.
Apparently so, yeah. And it's coming up to Mania season, so they're trying to drum up interest. I'd argue that a very well-booked story in a singles match will always get more interest than a random gimmick match just thrown in there, just because the sake of it. But there we are. We're going to have an ambulance match next week. And you know what? It doesn't matter who wins. So why would you guys care?
That's it.
I think that's the blunt truth of it, really. I think that's the issue that they've had all along. What's the end goal? What do both these guys get out of fighting each other? What's the reason? Give us a fucking reason why we should care.
Yeah.
There's been none so far.
That's all we want.
And like I said, me and Matt, we're biased. We want to like this rivalry, and we haven't been able to. We're ready to like it. Me and Matt are braced, ready, watching. We want to like it, and they haven't given us any reason to do so yet. Apart from the fact they've been killing each other each week, but there we are. Give us a reason. Give us a reason to care why they're killing each other each week. Daniel Bryan comes out to answer the questions on his future. This was another really cool segment. He teases the retirement. He says it's been an honour to be on the last Raw of 2014, but it's always been an honour to be in the ring. And then he thanks the fans for the WrestleMania 30 payoff. The fans did give him that payoff. I still state to this day, and you know what? It's an opinion, so I don't, hate anyone and thinking otherwise. But I still think that Punk leaving didn't give Bryan that main event. I think overwhelming crowd response gave him that main event. So fair enough. You want to thank the fans at the very least. At the very least, anyone can state, even if you state, oh, it was all CM Punk leaving that gave him that main event. You can at least state that the fans had a huge say in the reason for him being in that position.
That's it.
They would not have
even if it was Punk leaving, that doesn't necessarily mean that situation would have occurred.
Yeah, that even
the crowd.
Yeah, But you know what? We'll be arguing about that until the day we die. And the fact is that Triple H isn't going to come out, or Vince isn't going to come out and say, "Oh, this would have happened if this would have happened." There's no reason going to do that. So it's kind of like
it never happened. Why talk about it?
Yeah, it's like a fruitless argument.
Yeah.
We're not going to know the reasons, not really. We can argue all day, but it doesn't matter. It happened anyway. He explains how everything went wrong after his WrestleMania 30 payoff. That literally a couple of days after coming home from his honeymoon, his father passed away. He was not there. He seemed very sad that he wasn't there for that. I just remember the guy being out there for the week of his father dying, and they did that segment where Kane tombstoned him. Remember, 3 times.
Yeah.
And I gave kudos for him doing that because he didn't need to do that. He let WWE at least give a reason to the fans for why he wouldn't be around, but he didn't need to do that. And you could tell that Brian was just going through the motions. He was a shell of a guy, and you can't blame him for that either. And then shortly after that, he had the injury that put him out for 8 to 9 months, which really put a stunt in his career. He was right in the middle of his biggest rise, in the biggest push of his life, and it was all taken away from him. And as he says, he was had to sit back and watch these other people come and take spots that
were his.
That he'd worked well to get. You can't. It's not as if he would dislike them for doing that, of course, but you know what I mean. It's still hard to see the likes of Rollins and Reigns taking the main event spots that Bryan, if he wasn't injured, would certainly be in.
Yeah.
And I can imagine that the last 9 months has been frustrating. The fact is that sometimes it's frustrating to have your issue with your neck fixed, but then all the repercussions of that just not working. The fact is that his nerves weren't working. He wasn't gaining strength in his arms, and that's not something you can fix. That's not something you can go in and fix. The neck is a really awkward and bad place to get an injury, as we said before. If it was a leg or arm, okay, but it's the neck. Everything runs down through the neck.
That's it. And it was like that one. I think it's like quite good that sort of Brian mentioned. It's like, I spoke with Edge sort of about giving up in sort of like a situation because medically you have to, and it's like considering Edge was a neck injury that was out of the blue.
Yeah, exactly. Look at Austin, right? That Austin had he broke his neck. Owen Hart broke his neck. And he was never the same guy again. He operated roughly about 70%, I would state, of what he was. He became a brawler rather than a technician.
Yep.
Just to suit his career. The guy was never as good in the ring as he was before, and you can't blame him for that because he broke his fucking neck. There's a lot of implications that go around that. Austin has leg problems to this day because of his neck. That goes everywhere. And with Bryan, it seems like it's his arms that got more damaged with that, but he does actually state that he has to make a decision whether or not he will retire, and he says no, he will not retire. And the fans popped huge for that.
That's it. The cheer was just massive.
Yeah. I got goosebumps from it. I really did.
Yeah.
I thought it was awesome, the moment. And he said he's going to be in the Royal Rumble this year, and that will mark his return. And an awesome moment. I'm glad to see that we haven't seen the last chapter in Bryan's career, because it would have been a huge shame. I think he's still got more to give. Yeah, I have said that he might operate at roughly about 70%. We don't know. He could be back and he could be just as good. I heavily doubt it. But 70% of Daniel Bryan is still better than a good 95% of the people on that roster. So
that's it.
That's how good Bryan is in that ring. He is hugely talented and heavily experienced. People may look at the fact that, he's been with WWE for a while, but he hasn't been a top guy for the while, thinking, oh, this guy hasn't been long around the likes of John Cena, and they don't know don't know the years that he put in at Ring of Honor and New Japan. The guy knows his craft. I think that's well documented.
It's one thing that I've noticed. Is like I read it on a thread somewhere, and they were saying how it was sort of the argument of like NXT to indie guys.
Yeah.
And it was like, it's cheaper to train someone from the ground to train a guy from nothing than it is to hire in like a 10-year indie vet who knows their worth.
To WWE, I can understand why they would state that, because you get someone who knows their worth, you get another CM Punk on your hands. Yeah?
Yeah, and that.
A guy who knows how to think for himself a little bit, right? You get that issue. I disagree with them. To make someone work a WWE style of wrestling, yes, sometimes that can be troubling, but a guy that's as good of a wrestler as Bryan, and Sami Zayn, who came from independents, Kevin Owens,
Yep.
Finn Balor, Hideo Itami, they've all come from independents, and you could state that they're probably some of the best wrestlers they've got on that roster right now.
Yeah.
Because of the time they've spent outside of WWE. I just think WWE, and especially Vince, I know Vince just doesn't want people that as you say, knows their worth, because people that have been in the indies and been outside of WWE before going in, no, they can make a healthy living outside of WWE if they need to. They don't fear being fired, the majority of them at least. And like we said, one of the things that CM Punk said all the way throughout his interviews, he said he knows what he's worth, right? And he wasn't willing to let WWE piss him around. The thing is, Vince likes to get the most out of people by pushing them around.
That's it.
Yeah, he's got years out of John Cena for doing that.
You gonna do it my way yet? No. Oh well.
Yeah, like John Cena. How many times did he come back early from an injury, which will probably harm him in his later life after wrestling? But because Vince knows he can tell him, okay, well, you can imagine CM Punk. He said there before that he does. I know we've gone on a well of a tangent here, but we'll get back to the point soon. But that whole thing with CM Punk having his injury and Vince saying, well, we've got you booked for a TLC match. You'll be back within 2 months, and Punk's like, well, actually, no, I'll be up for 3-4 months. Cena's more likely to go, well, actually, yeah, no, I will be back for then. Whenever you need me, boss, I'll be there and I'll do it.
Yeah.
So they're the kind of people that Vince wants because they're useful to him, But still, let's go back on point. We're going way, way off tangent there. I still think that WWE should look to the indies and pick guys out that are good there. That's my opinion. Yeah, sure, they might know that they can make a decent living somewhere else, but they'll never get as good of a living as they would in WWE.
Yeah.
But there we are.
Tangent,
yeah. Anyway, the whole thing of it is that I thought it was a really cool moment. I thought the way that Bryan delivered the whole thing was great. Some people dislike the fact he wasn't used as a surprise. I think with someone that's been out of the ring as long as he is, I think it's okay to sell this as his first match back. That will get you plenty of pay-per-view sales.
Yeah.
So that's fine. You can have Randy Orton come back as a surprise entrant. Him announcing he's going to be back as he hasn't been gone that long won't be that big of a selling point. Bryan was the champion. He was the biggest thing in that company when he left. That everyone knows now that he's going to return at Royal Rumble. That's big business for them.
That's it. That's huge.
Yeah, exactly. So this leads to Miz and Mizdow, who backstage. They are pissed at Edge and Christian backstage. Edge then shows him his stunt puppet, who's wearing all of Edge's gear. Sure, it might help him on stuff like Haven, stuff like that. Miz demands a tag rematch. He gets a tag team title rematch. He does get a tag match, but it's not with the Usos.
Nor is it for the belts.
Nor is it for the belts. And it turns out to be the Ascension who make their debut. And here we go. Matt, take it away, because I know you're the biggest fan when it comes to the Ascension. You wanted to name them Tag Team of the Year, which, we went with the Usos. But I know you love this gimmick in NXT. It all worked.
But it doesn't work.
Okay.
Why doesn't it work?
Well,
I think it might be the fact that they look like the Road Warriors. I don't think it might be the fact that their videos have been stupid. Or I don't know what it is. Like, they do everything that's from NXT, but just doesn't work on that big a scale. Like, there's been some moments where the Ascension have had entrances on NXT, and I've just been like, this is amazing. But it's like on Raw, it's just like, something's missing.
Yeah. It wasn't the same, was it? And I think all the small changes that WWE have put on them damaged them.
Yeah.
I think their shoulder pads or whatever they're using, I think that was a stupid move.
That's fine. I don't actually have a problem with that, because Original Ascension had that.
Okay, that's fine, but I still think they could have done with that. That's just my opinion.
Yeah.
I thought the makeup, I think, is not right for them.
The fact that it, didn't stop at Connor's hairline, it carried up his hair.
Yeah. Well, the other stuff, I think it was the presentation of it as well, the fact that commentary didn't help these guys either. Not really. They were like, oh my goodness, it's the Ascension. They're here. They're like, oh, here's the Ascension.
Yeah, they were on NXT, and here they are on Raw.
Yeah, the presentation of them has been lacking. So, the thing is as well, also, right, I think this suffered a little bit the same way that the Bad News Barrett Cesaro match suffered. They put it just after a really big fan interactive segment. They put this just after Bryan announcing that he wasn't retiring. These guys aren't gonna get anywhere close to reaction like that, so it stands out even more. Even though the fact that there was very little reaction in this match, if at all, you know. I'm really sad for you there, Matt, because I still think these guys can go somewhere. I still think they could do good work, but they could have been so much more. They could have been booked. They could have been booked. The way you could have booked them are like the tag team Brock Lesnar of the tag team division. You know, that you just can't stop them. You know, they just go through people. You know, by God, we need a really heavily booked heel tag team because they will be heel. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, just do it. You know, it's like instead they decided to go for a very lackluster approach, which damages them. And you know, this is their debut. This is probably one of the most forgettable debuts that the NXT guys have ever had. Would you agree?
Yeah, and you know, I kind of hate it because there was that sign. I don't know if you spotted it in the crowd on yellow card. Support WWE upstarts, not WWE upstarts, NXT upstarts.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh.
There was also LOD chants as well during this match as well. So
yeah, I know.
As much as the Goldberg chants annoyed me throughout Ryback's rise, and you know they're dying out a little bit now. It doesn't happen as much, but yeah, it's if that clicks on and suddenly the LOD chants every single time the Ascension come into the ring start happening, that's not good for them. That's definitely not good for them. This was just a very okay, they attacked Miz and Mizdow. They beat them very quickly and very easily, but really this is a team that already got beaten. You know, it doesn't show the Ascension being dominant. They beat guys who already wrestled a match. They did double duty for the night, Miz and Mizdow.
That's it.
Hopefully they can go a little bit better, and we'll see how they go. And
well, apparently they were on SmackDown.
Well, yeah, they probably will be.
And they attacked the Usos.
Yeah, well, there you are. I don't know. I think the whole presentation, I thought their debut was forgettable. Yeah, it wasn't good. It just wasn't good. Early days, though, guys. Come on, let's try and be positive. It's early days for them. They could still get somewhere. They could still be something big. I don't think they will, but yeah, they can still get there. But there we are. Renee Young interviews Seth Rollins backstage. Rollins says that he will extend another invitation to Brock Lesnar for the Cutting Edge Peep Show. An invitation that really wasn't needed, considering. But okay.
Considering he never really turned up.
Yeah, not really. Didn't really do anything when he did turn up, but there we are. And yeah, it's just when we go into Lesnar, because I'm not going to talk about much Lesnar at the end of the show because he wasn't really that much involved. But he did show up at the very end of the show. He looked bored, and if this was the most they could figure out with one of his dates, come on, this is Brock Lesnar, your world champion. Come up with something a little bit better, please. Maybe they're out of ideas because they keep booking him in matches with John Cena. Maybe that's the issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are we gonna do? I don't know.
Jesus Christ. So the segment to end the show, the Cutting Edge Peep Show, the very first one. They're doing another on SmackDown, but I didn't watch it. So they bring out Rollins, Edge and Christian, J&J Security, bringing out the booze and glasses. Classy men, Noble and Mercury. They're men after our own hearts, aren't they?
That's it.
Bring out the wine. Maybe I don't like wine. Are you a wine man?
I enjoy wine.
You enjoy wine? No, I can't stand it.
I think they're trying to be nice with champers, though.
Yeah, champers, yeah. Rollins says that Edge and Christian are his heroes, and it's an honour to be on the first edition of the Cutting Edge Peep Show. Then Edge and Christian call him condescending. If Rollins was trying to be sarcastic, I certainly didn't pick up on it.
No.
Maybe he needed to accentuate that fact a little bit more, but that's okay. Rollins says that no one has had a better year than him. That's why we gave him the award of Best Wrestler of 2014, because I don't think anyone has had a better year than him. But there we are. You could argue Lesnar, but I mean the fact is that he's not around enough for us to be put in that category.
To be nominated, yeah.
He says it's been difficult for him since Survivor Series, being involved in a rivalry with John Cena would do that. Just ask Bray Wyatt and Ryback; they'll tell you. You don't want to get involved in a rivalry with John Cena, you know. What do we call him? The push-seeking missile. He will find a push, he will seek it out, and he will destroy it. The
That's
way that
it.
Cena goes. All you have to do to find Kim Jong Un, if you want to assassinate him, is push him on Raw. Cena will get rid of him.
That's it. Just mention him a few times.
Yeah, say Kim Jong Un is the best wrestler in the world, and we're going to push him. He's going to be involved, and John Cena will just annihilate him in seconds. It's the way John Cena rolls. Push seeking missile. That's the way it is.
That's it.
Although that would be quite odd, wouldn't it? Having Cena against Kim Jong Un, and Rusev could be around just to give us more international flavour. We'd have WrestleMania 10 all over again. that would be
very true.
So with that, Big Show is brought out. It hit me here looking at this. I know we said before Big Show probably was vying for maybe a future in commentary, but maybe in the tail end of his career, and I do believe he is in the very least in the tail end of his career, right?
Yeah,
he can't be wrestling too much longer. I know he's very athletic. He can certainly go a lot longer than the Great Khali could. Great Khali was no athlete by any means, but one of the great ways maybe to tone down Big Show's in-ring career is make him a heater for Seth Rollins, make him the bodyguard.
Yeah.
I think that works great. I honestly do. I think that's a great role for the pair of them. I really do. Give Rollins a little bit of a stable on his own and make him the forefront of that. And yeah, we could be running quite well with that.
On Big Show in a suit, and there you go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So with Big Show brought out, Edge says that Rollins has no charisma. Rollins says, well, if he's got no charisma, he's still better than Edge. Edge fires back, then even a live sex celebration with the Big Show wouldn't do the trick. If there was one way to instantaneously lose all your network subscribers, is to have a Rollins Big Show sex show. That would get rid of a lot of them, to be honest.
I haven't even subscribed, and I wouldn't.
Yeah. Oh dear. Cena does not come out. Rollins is asking him to come out all the time. He says, "You've got to come out, John." By the way, he says the name John over 35 times in this segment, just to let you know that. Rollins says that he's going to break Edge's neck and make him a paraplegic if Cena doesn't bring back the authority, and basically have Edge set up for the curb stomp into the suitcase, the briefcase. Cena then comes out. And I thought that there's a large moment, a good like I'd say 4 or 5 minutes of Rollins just teasing him, just saying, "I want you to bring back the authority. If you don't, I will break his neck." And I thought Rollins was really good here as a diabolical heel with no redeeming qualities. He was
sinister, wasn't it?
Yes, he was going full out. He was saying, "I'm going to stop him from being able to hold his children. You won't be able to, when you have kids, you won't be able to look them in the eyes because of what happened today if you don't bring back the authority." He was holding no punches back. And I thought he was great. I honestly thought that him in this role here was exactly what it needed to be.
Yeah, definitely.
Cena agrees. He brings the authority back, and the authority are officially back. Only 2 months since Survivor Series. I said 6 to 12 months, maybe bring them back. They couldn't wait until the end of the year.
2 months.
Yeah. We'll talk about that more as we get to the end, right? Because there's a bit of a difference here, right? So Rollins says that he just says, "Oh, you know what? I'm just going to kill Edge anyway." That's the words he used. "I'm just going to kill him anyway."
Yeah.
Goes to do it, and then Cena runs in and stops him, gets knocked out by the Big Show, and then the authority come out and toast 2015, with Triple H and Steph back, which kind of argues the question: how would they even know they would be back? Aren't they supposed to be in an office in Connecticut somewhere? Just kind of bit illogical, but
reasons. Because reasons.
Deus Ex Machina is all the way over WWE. It rules the show. So Lesnar and Heyman, they do come down, but they just stand there. That's it. So here's talk about it. Right, the segment. If they were going to bring back the authority, I thought the way they did this was actually okay. I thought it was a good segment. I thought Rollins played up the being the heel really well, and played up to Cena not wanting the blood of Edge on his hands and all this. And
that's it, yeah.
All this time. So if they wanted to do it, I don't think they could have done it. Some people might, they used Edge to get this back. Well, guys, I know he looks young, but Edge is a retired guy. He should be used. I shouldn't say he should be used and his character should be destroyed. I don't think his character was destroyed. I think people are taking it a little bit too far. But it's not as if, oh, this does so much damage to Edge. Well, Edge isn't around. It's not a problem.
That's it.
You know, people are going really crazy about that, but still. And you know what? The reason why that's part of the reason why they used Edge and not Christian, because they wanted that response. You know, that's what they were going for essentially. My issue is that they couldn't have waited a decent length of time before doing this segment and bringing the Authority back. 2 months after they were taken out of storyline brings up several problems. First of which, why the hell did Sting even have to debut?
Yeah.
Renders that whole
thing
useless.
If he's not going to go put him out for a fair time.
Yeah, if he, you know what I mean? Like the vigilante, you think he'd be keeping an eye on the show. Maybe even stopped this from happening, possibly.
Yeah. Nope.
So this big debut that we've been building up for, what was it, decades, for Sting to finally make his debut in WWE, and now it relates to absolute fuck all. He may as well not even debuted. What was the point in him doing it? They couldn't wait even 3 months to give these people back. And this continues now. I mean, we've got a 2-month break. We've had 18 months, roughly, of evil authority figure storyline, right? And we're going to get more, right? They're going to keep going with it. It's not as if they're going to turn another leaf or not be involved. You know that they're going to be all over the show. We're going to have to start keeping track of when they open the show again, because that's going to start happening again. I thought it was lovely having done with other people open the show. That's going to stop. You know, going to start having that. What was it? Out of almost, what was it? 30 weeks I did, wasn't it? 30 weeks. 78%, 78 or 73%. It was roughly around 75% time. Raw would definitely open with an authority segment, and that was just like, what? And that wasn't even a segment. That wasn't even. I wasn't even putting matches involving the authority in that list. You know, so that was bad. What's your thought on it? Do you think they could have waited longer? Well, in my opinion,
I think they should have waited longer. Yeah. I think it's just ridiculous, the fact that it's just like, 2 months in, Survivor Series, like, we're still talking about Survivor Series, and we just pissed all over the whole Survivor Series concept.
Yeah. It may as well not have even happened. Really. It may as well not have even happened. You know? And that was one of the best matches of last year. And now, WWE asked themselves, sometimes we have a problem getting these big-time matches over, the fans have trouble getting into them. It's because they do stuff like this. They eradicate the big meanings of their matches less than a couple of months after they happen.
That's it. For what purpose? Yeah, there is no purpose now. We just gave up on the idea.
What was it? Another one that reminded me of this, right? When they do this, is John Cena got fired for not helping Bad News Barrett win the belt. Do you remember that? When the Nexus was around.
Oh, God, yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, I remember.
Did he spend any weeks away from WWE television? No. He was on WWE television every single week after that, until he was storyline rehired.
That's it.
What's the point in having these big stipulations if you honestly can't keep to them? That's the issue. You know? I don't think it's not as if the shows have been sucking because the authority haven't been around. The shows were sucking with the authority around as it was anyway. You know, we had a really bad month of Raws when the authority were around. We had a bad month of Raws when they weren't around. It wasn't.
That's it.
You know, it wasn't any different.
I can't like point the finger at anyone in particular.
Yeah. This smells to me that they've been doing this a lot recently. I hope it stops going into WrestleMania season. That a lot of what they're doing creatively is if they haven't got plans or they haven't got a good idea, they'll just go back to what they already had. They did it with the Rusev Swagger storyline. Technically, they're going back to it with the Reigns and Rollins rivalry because those two already had matches with each other.
Yep.
They are now obviously going back to it for the authority being back in charge. And it makes no sense as well. It plays a double edge because if they make it to the authority and then out of power, maybe that's the reason why Sting has to fight Triple H at Mania. That's the reason why they go out, right? And if Sting wins, then they do go out of power forever. Then the fans aren't going to buy it. They're not going to buy, oh, really? So they're really going to be gone this time? They're not going to buy it.
The only way you can do that is if you're literally like with definitely like no return.
Yeah, but even then, I would argue, you know.
Yeah.
How many times what they said, John Cena and Randy Orton will never fight each other for a world championship again. Well, that didn't really work, did it? They definitely fought each other for plenty of titles after that, so... I think it's way too soon. I don't think you should have done it now. People disliked the actual the actual segment, I actually thought it was okay. Honestly, I did think it was okay.
I was happy with the segment. I thought it was really good.
I just thought the implications of the segment are the issue.
Yeah.
I just think it negates all the good work that the last 70 minutes of Survivor Series did for you, and I thought that did great work for them. Now, where does this lead going forward? Obviously, we're going to see Daniel Bryan go into the Royal Rumble with the Authority in. You can probably likely know that he's not going to be at the end of that pack. So, bad news for Randy Orton as well, who more than likely will, if he's around, he won't be getting he'll be a face going forward. Obviously, on getting the ire of the Authority. I do think Brock Lesnar, if he does retain the title, probably will get help from the Authority to do so. It looks like they might set that up. Otherwise, there was no reason for Lesnar to be out there. There really wasn't.
No.
So hopefully, I'm hoping that at very least we get something good out of this. But it's hard to overlook the storyline's already done. They had a satisfying and conclusive ending. Why bring it back? There was no reason to do it this long. And I laugh now when I go back and listen to what I said. I said 6 to 12 months. That's probably when they'll do it. And I said, just in glancing, you know what? Thinking of them, they'll probably do it earlier than that. Well, they actually did. They couldn't wait more than 2 months.
That's it.
Jesus.
Patience? Nah.
Jesus. Wow. So, despite the crappy implications of that, I thought this was a very good Raw. I loved a few of the segments on this show. The Ryback one, I like more the more I think about it. The Bryan stuff it gave me goosebumps, and I haven't had that watching Raw in a while. And there's some good matches to be had here. I think this is definitely a Raw you want to watch.
Yeah, definitely.
Very interesting at very least, and it has some stuff. It was very. It sparked a lot of conversation, I think, between wrestling fans, and gave us a lot of the time. Me and Matt will talk a lot about the other stuff, like fail of the weeks and fan feedbacks, in huge abundance because the Raw wasn't that interesting. We didn't have that issue this week because Raw was quite interesting.
It's full of good bits.
Yeah. I mean, there were some bad bits in there. We're not going to argue with that. But what Raw nowadays isn't got some bad stuff in it. It's not as if the Attitude Era either. Oh, the Attitude Era was so great. Well, not every show in the Attitude Era.
Some of the Attitude Era stank.
Yeah, exactly. There's no getting around it. And even good Attitude Era shows had bad segments. That's just the way it is, So, yeah, I give this episode a thumbs up. I think you should go out and watch it. The last Raw 2014. And it was a good one. I'm willing to give praise when it's due, so that's fine. Anything else you want to say about Raw there, Matt?
No, unless I think WWE needs to sort out what the hell they're doing with the Ascension.
Yeah, I know. I thought just
failing
watching
that,
them,
or you may as well just leave all your NXT guys in NXT because they work there.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like, there seems to be a big issue with them at the moment, where they want to bring guys up because they've been with them for ages. I mean, the Ascension were NXT for ages, and then when they bring them up, they just don't bring them up with enough love. Where the hell is Bo Dallas? Will someone tell me where that guy is?
Yeah, just disappeared.
Yeah, and there's tons of other people that they brought up, from NXT that just haven't worked. Big E, the New Day, they just debuted. Where were they this week?
Yeah, that's true. New Day.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they're working anyway. I think they need to go heel, but it just shows you, that sometimes, even with 3 hours, they've got such a bloated roster, and they care so much about certain things that they won't give enough time to people that need it. They should give more promos that they did to Ryback to other people to explain why you should give a crap about them. Yeah. That's my opinion.
And it wouldn't hurt at all.
It wouldn't happen at all. But that's our show this week.
5 minutes.
Yeah, just 5 minutes. It doesn't take long. You got 3 hours. You got 5 minutes. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's the show this week. I hope you guys did enjoy it there. The Raw review was very lengthy. Jesus Christ. Wow. But a lot of interesting stuff to talk about there. If you do want to leave any questions to be answered by us, then you know the place to leave them down in the comments section below, and also leave them on Twitter at TalkWrestlePod, and then Matt can bring them to me, and we can talk about whatever you talk about. And we're not giving any limits to our fan feedback. We were saying all along we're going to do one question. Now, if you leave a comment, that's a question, then we'll answer it. That's the way it's going to go, because we rather enjoy answering your questions. And we were leaving a few beside, and we were just like, well, we really want to answer them, but so we're just doing it now. We're just answering all of the ones that you want to ask us. So ask us any questions you like, even to the likes of who has the best beard. We'll answer it. We'll go into deep detail on who has the best beard. Go and Google Triple H's porn mustache for a little while. That should keep you entertained for a little while.
Or scared.
Or scared. Yeah, possibly. So yeah, leave a comment below if any questions you'd like to ask us, or maybe who you think has the best beard. And if you are new to the show, then we really appreciate it if you would subscribe. That way you won't miss any episodes going forward. And sometimes we do extras here and there. We will obviously do our reviews of every pay-per-view. I'm just going to state that now because me and Matt always end up doing a review for the pay-per-view. Even the NXT specials, we do that now. So, which to us are like pay-per-views. They're just really good ones.
That's it. It's the better pay-per-view.
The better pay-per-view. So yeah, we really appreciate it. You can hit that subscribe button. We will very soon, I imagine, it won't be too long before we hit 200 subscribers, and I'll be very, very happy when that day comes. But for episode 57, we bid you adieu. We hope you have a great week and a great start to 2015. Let us know in the comments as well if you've already broken your New Year's resolutions. Have you broken yours yet, Matt?
I haven't had a good start to it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't set any because I'm perfect. So.
Yeah. Right.
And modest too. And modest. And that will sign us off, guys. I hope you have a great week, and we'll chat to you next week.
We'll see you soon.
Bye bye.